Hi everyone, welcome to a new Thing Socio video. In this video, we'll be discussing more Plus One Sociology PYQs from Part 2, Chapters 1 and 2. Chapter 1, Social Structure, Stratification and Social Processes in Society. Question 1, compare and contrast the functionalist and conflict views on cooperation. According to the functionalists, human beings have to cooperate to meet their basic needs and to produce and reproduce themselves in the world. So, cooperation is important for maintaining social order, harmony, and stability. They think of society as having systemic requirements, which are also known as functional imperatives, functional requisites, or prerequisites. They compare society to a living organism with different parts which cooperate to sustain the whole system. So, organic analogy is an important part of the functionalist view on cooperation. According to conflict theorists, they emphasize on how these forms of cooperation have changed from one historical society to another, and they emphasis on cooperation as a tool for domination. They say that it may serve the interests of the ruling class or dominant groups, ensuring that marginalized groups remain subordinate. So, in societies divided by caste, class, or patriarchy, some groups are disadvantaged and discriminated against, and the dominant groups maintain or sustain this unequal order by a series of norms and sometimes even coercion or violence. Define social structure. Compare and contrast the views of Emile Durkheim and Karl Marx regarding social structure. What is social structure? It is the organized pattern of social relationships, institutions, and social positions that shape human interactions and behavior within a society. Essentially, social structure is made up of human actions and relationships. Now, let's look at how Durkheim and Karl Marx viewed social structure. According to Durkheim, societies exert certain social constraint over the actions of their members. Society has primacy over the individual person, and he said that society is far more than the sum of individual acts. He also said that social structure ensures stability and makes sure that changes happen very gradually. Social structure also focuses on integration and cohesion, according to Durkheim. Now, according to Marx, social structure perpetuates inequality and changes can happen only through revolution, focuses on conflict and domination essentially. There is also scope for human creativity or agency to both reproduce and change the social structure. So, human beings make history not as they wish to or in conditions of their choice, but within the constraints of the historical or structural situations. Competition is an integral part of society. Substantiate. Competition is a driving force for progress. It fosters innovation, efficiency, and economic growth by encouraging individuals and organizations to improve their skills, products, and services. This is what we see in education, business, and other technological innovations. Social stratification and mobility. Competition plays a key role in determining social positions as individuals and groups compete for limited resources, jobs, and status. It can either reinforce social hierarchies or create opportunities for upward mobility. Explain the concept of alienation. Alienation, as described by Karl Marx, refers to the estrangement of individuals from their work, products, self, and others in a capitalist society. Workers lose control over what they produce, they find labor monotonous, and experience total isolation due to competition. Marx argued that this alienation is inherent in capitalism and it can only be resolved through a structural change. Examine the correlation between cooperation and division of labor by analyzing the forms of cooperation in pre industrial and industrial societies. Now, who talked about division of labor in pre industrial and industrial societies? It was Durkheim who talked about it. For Durkheim, solidarity is the moral force of society. What is the role of division of labor? It is precisely to fulfill certain needs of society. In pre industrial societies, we had mechanical solidarity, that is, the form of cohesion that is based fundamentally on sameness. There was a simple division of labor based on age and sex. There was shared beliefs and sentiments and their common conscience and consciousness. In an industrial society, it is organized by organic solidarity, that is, social cohesion that is based on a complex division of labor and the resulting interdependence of members of society. It is more specialized and they also become more dependent upon each other. Explain the basic forms of advantages which privileged groups enjoy. This is a very much repeated question. There are three basic forms of advantage that privileged groups enjoy. They are life chances, social status, and political influence. Life chances includes all the material advantages which improve the quality of life of the recipient, and it does not only include economic advantages of wealth and income but also other benefits such as health, job security, and recreation. Social status is the prestige or high standing that people enjoy in the eyes of other members of the society. Political influence is the ability of one group to dominate others or to have preponderant influence over decision making or to benefit advantageously from decisions. Cooperation in our society are mostly enforced. Illustrate with suitable examples. Karl Marx was the one who talked about cooperation being non voluntary in a society where class exists. According to him, the social power which arises through the cooperation of different individuals caused by the division of labor appears voluntary, but it is not actually voluntary. And he explains the process of alienation, which is the loss of control on the part of workers over the concrete content of labor and over the product of their labor. Workers lose control over how to organize their own work. An example would be the feeling of fulfillment and creativity of a weaver or potter compared to that of a worker involved in a factory whose sole task may be to pull a lever or press a button. There is a difference, and cooperation in such situations would be enforced. Analyze how conflict and cooperation exist together in society. Now, findings of many sociological studies suggests that covert conflict and overt cooperation is common, which means that covert conflict and open cooperation is common. Two examples that we can take to understand this better is family as a social institution and also the situation of an agrarian conflict. In the situation of family as a social organization, we have heard that cooperation is the dominant process that is operating. If we look at the last 3 decades of feminist analysis that critically looks at family as an institution, it actually challenges this assumption that cooperation is the only thing that is dominated in the families. Similarly, in agrarian societies, peasants in agrarian societies, they also have come up with several strategies to cope with the conflict and ensure that cooperation exists. It is said that their individual activities have to take the form of being overtly or openly cooperative, even when substantial conflicts exist. Women in households or peasants in agrarian societies, they develop different strategies to cope with conflict and ensure cooperation. Explain cooperation and competition as two ways of understanding social process in sociology. Cooperation is a social process where individuals or groups work together to achieve common goals. It is based on mutual benefit, shared interests, and collective action. Examples would be family members raising children together and employees collaborating on projects, etc. Functionalists view cooperation as essential for maintaining social order. Competition, on the other hand, is a social process where individuals or groups strive to achieve a goal that only one or a few can attain. So it involves rivalry, limited resources, and the pursuit of personal or group advantage. Examples would be students competing for top ranks, business vying for market dominance, etc. Conflict theorists view competition as a means through which social inequalities and power struggles emerge. Cooperation fosters unity and interdependence, while competition creates division and hierarchy. Both actually coexist in society. Chapter 2: Social Change and Social Order in Rural and Urban Society. Explain 4 causes of social change. This is almost a definite 8 marker question, and the major 4 causes of social change are politics, technology, economy, and environment. I have explained this question in the previous long answer video. Please check that and make sure that you prepare for this question. Analyze the challenges to social order in urban areas. The important issues and problems of social order in towns and cities is because of the question of space. The primary task of the urban social order is to ensure the spatial viability of the city. The organization and management of housing and residential patterns, mass transit systems, coexistence of residential, public, and industrial land use zones, and finally, public health, sanitation, policing, public safety, etc. There are several challenges in planning, implementation, and maintenance of these things in the contexts of divisions existing and tensions among class, ethnicity, religion, and caste. The shortage of housing causes homelessness, leading to street people, and slums, leading to absence of settled property rights, and slums act as a natural breeding ground for dadas and strongmen. There exist extra legal activities, criminal and real estate related gangs also. The segregation of residential areas also creates communal tensions, ghettoization, and the process of gated communities. These are the major challenges to social order in urban areas. Differentiate between urban agglomeration from metropolitan area. An urban agglomeration refers to a city along with its surrounding suburban areas and satellite settlements. It includes the core city, suburbs, satellite towns, adjoining urban areas that function as a single economic unit. A metropolitan area, on the other hand, includes more than one city or a continuous urban settlement. It encompasses a major city and its surrounding areas, often covering multiple municipalities or districts. The key difference is that urban agglomeration is based on physical urban spread and population density. A metropolitan area is defined by administrative and economic linkages. Write short notes on the following: gated communities, gentrification. Gated communities refers to the creation of affluent neighborhoods that are separated from their surroundings by walls and gates with controlled entry and exit. They have their own parallel civic facilities such as water and electricity supply, policing, security, etc. This provides them a sense of safety, exclusivity, and social homogeneity. Gentrification is the conversion of a previously lower class neighborhood into a middle and upper class one. When real estate prices rise, it becomes more and more profitable for developers to try and use the effect of such a conversion. It actually displaces poor residents, exacerbates social inequality and housing displacement. Compare and contrast evolutionary and revolutionary processes of social change. Firstly, their definitions. Evolutionary change is a gradual and continuous process of social transformation over time. Revolutionary change is a rapid and radical transformation of social, political, or economic structures. Now, what is the nature of change? Evolutionary change is slow, adaptive, and progressive. Revolutionary change is sudden, disruptive, and often forceful. Now, what is the driving factor for an evolutionary change? There are internal social developments, cultural adaptation, and technological advancements. For revolutionary change, the driving factors are political movements, mass uprisings, wars, etc. Example would be industrialization as an example of evolutionary change, and French Revolution and Russian Revolution examples of revolutionary change. Examine how social order and social change is maintained in rural areas. They are small in size, have personalized relationships, have a traditional social structure, and the social institutions are strong, which leads to a slower change when compared to towns. There is less scope for rural people to express themselves. Why? Because there is lack of anonymity and distance. It is also difficult to dissent because there is a dependency on the dominant sections of the society who control employment and other resources. The small population are scattered and difficult to gather, which is why they are easily suppressed, and the power structure is difficult to dislodge. Some examples of changes that happened in rural area would be due to land reforms, which actually changed the structure of land ownership and had an immediate impact in the rural social order. The change in technological organization of agriculture, which led to labor saving machineries, also changed the cropping pattern in rural areas. Changes in agricultural prices, changes in climate causing droughts or floods also impacted rural areas, causing farmers suicides and all. A positive example would be the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act that positively affected the rural areas. Define social order and structural change. Social order refers to the tendency within established social systems that resists and regulates change. Social order ensures cooperation and reduces chaos, thus enabling societies to function smoothly. It includes the stable patterns of behavior, norms, and institutions that maintain harmony and predictability in society. Social order is upheld through laws, customs, traditions, and other social institutions. Structural change. It refers to the transformations in the structure of society to its institutions or the rules by which these institutions are run. The fundamental shifts in the organization and functioning of a society will be called structural changes. It occurs due to technological advancements, economic transformations, political revolutions, or cultural shifts. Explain any three urban problems. Problems in towns and cities are related to the question of space. High population density actually creates a very complex problem of logistics. Overcrowding and housing shortage causes homelessness and leads to the emergence of slums. These slums lack proper civic facilities and is a breeding ground for extra legal activities. Another problem would be congestion and pollution due to the urban transport systems, which directly impacts the quality of life of people in towns. There also exists communal tensions, ghettoization, gentrification, and economic disparities in urban areas. Thanks for listening. I'll see you all in my next video with more Plus One Sociology PYQs from chapters 3, 4, and 5 of part 2. Meanwhile, all the best.